your hearts weren't open before they are now. Man, it's right. Between you two, it's my breath. Beautiful. You know, this day is one of the most challenging to be present for, to give a talk to. The second one, Father's Day. Because I think the mother and father and child relationship is one of the most complicated. Some of you had wonderful experiences with your mother, but not with your father, and vice versa. It's a challenge, and part of it is as I look around the room and realize everybody who's already said goodbye to their earthly mother. Tears come. There's many of us who are at the place where it's going to be not too far away, that we're going to be saying our goodbyes to our mothers. Some of you never knew your mother. Some of you had great mother experiences, the kind that the Norman Rockwell paintings are about. Some of you had not so good. And so it's really challenging. And I try to hit it from different angles, to acknowledge those of you who had great ones to say, good for you. And to acknowledge those of you who are hurting to say, it's okay. It's okay to feel what you're feeling. Also, as I speak today, you can apply it to your own mother experience, or you can apply it to your own mothering experience, how you perceived yourself as a mother. I had a friend recently who we were talking about Mother's Day plans, and we're talking about cards, and she sort of summed up the challenge when she said, there's no cards at the store that say, thank you for being a mediocre mother. Right? So you're looking through the cards, and if you didn't have that great mother, it's a little challenging. So that sort of summed it up for me. But I thought it would be interesting and maybe helpful for those of you who didn't have the greatest mothering experience today, or maybe those of you who are really missing your moms, to know that this didn't start out as breakfast in bed and flowers and cards and all this. It didn't start out this way. It actually started out as a political cry for peace. A political cry for peace from a woman named Julia Ward Howe in 1870. She called for a Congress of women to gather together to promote a Mother's Day for peace. A Mother's Day for peace. About the same time, maybe just slightly afterwards, the woman's name that we're the most familiar with is Anna Jarvis. It started out as a Mother's Friendship Day, and it was during the Civil War, and she asked women from both the North and the South to come together. Some wearing their gray and some wearing their blue, holding hands together, singing. Singing for peace. Singing for their sons and husbands that they have lost on both sides of that fence. Then Anna Jarvis's daughter, also named Anna, was the one who actually organized what we now know as Mother's Day. It was a church service to honor mothers. Still had that element of peace, though, in it. That was in 1908. And then it was when President Woodrow Wilson in 1914 came in. He was the one who made it what it is today, and he took all of that political stuff out of it. He took all of that peace out of it and created honoring women in the home. Interesting, huh? It started out as women saying, we want to come together for peace. And it changed into something very different. I'm not complaining about what it changed into. I just thought it was interesting to find out. And what I want to share with you is that first woman, Julia Ward Howe, A Mother's Day for Peace, she wrote, she called it Mother's Day Proclamation for Peace. And I want to share it with you so you'll hear what her original intention is. And I know you're going to hear how relevant it is right now. She wrote this in 1870. Arise then, women of this day. Arise, all women who have hearts. Whether your baptism be that of water or of tears, say firmly, We will not have questions decided by irrelevant agencies. Our husbands shall not come to us reeking with carnage for caresses and applause. Our sons shall not be taken from us to unlearn all that we have been able to teach them of charity, mercy, and patience. We, women of one country, will be too tender of those of another country to allow our sons to be trained to injure theirs. From the bosom of the devastated earth, a voice goes up with our own. It says, disarm, disarm. The sword of murder is not the balance of justice. Blood does not wipe out dishonor, nor violence indicate possession. As men have often forsaken the plow and the anvil at the summons of war, let the women now leave all that may be left of home for a great and earnest day of counsel. Let them meet first as women to bewail and commemorate the dead. Let them then solemnly take counsel with each other as to the means whereby the great human family can live in peace, each bearing after their own time the sacred impress, not of Caesar but of God. In the name of womanhood and of humanity, I earnestly ask that a general congress of women without limit of nationality may be appointed and held at some place deemed most convenient and at the earliest period consistent with its objects to promote the alliance of the different nationalities, the amicable settlement of international questions, the great and general interests of peace. Wow. When I read this the first time, I went, wow. And I read it a second time. She's asking for the women to come together and make the peace happen. Does it still sound like what women are doing now? For the men in the room, thank you for being part of that with us, because the men that are in this room are the kind of men who want it too. So she's asking the women to take the lead on it, but we also need the men to be part of it too. I like hearing that history, a Mother's Day for peace. So we can recapture a little bit of that as we're celebrating mothers in all ways and means today. Recapture a little bit of that original intention. I love that. Come together for peace. So here at Harmony Center, we are all about transforming our own lives. We read it in our vision statement. Transforming our own lives as we love and play and grow together, so that we can live full, rich lives, and so that we can make a difference to others, ultimately to the whole planet and beyond, who knows what, right? We transform our own lives so that we can be that presence of God, helping others transform their lives to make a difference in this world. With transformation in mind for ourselves, doesn't it behoove us then to look at our own mother experience through the eyes of what did I learn? What did I learn? What lessons, what good is there for me? In the affirmation that we're going to do later, I use the words lessons by fire or by grace. I might have put it the other way around, it doesn't matter. By grace or by fire. Some of us learn lessons from our mother by fire, and those lessons feel like we've been burned. And yet we still have the choice, don't we, to complain about it, to be a victim of it, or to find the lesson, find the good which transmutes that fire into rebirth, just like that phoenix rising out of the ashes. That we can use that fire, we can use that burn that came with some of those lessons and use it to rise up and be reborn. And when we do that, we automatically make a difference for others. It can't help it. When we transform our own lives, when we use that lesson for something beautiful and something good, we are a conduit for others to do the same. So I'd like to ask you to contemplate two things right now, and I'm going to just be quiet for a second. I want you to contemplate for just a couple minutes of silence the lessons from your own mother, or the lessons that you learned as a mother that were by fire, lessons learned by fire, and or